and help us enlarge it to the size we want to. Okay, now I think we've probably gone as far as we dare. I've managed to actually get the blade through and link the saw up. The saw is very much easier to use. If you have a problem doing that, you can actually sort of sacrifice one of the ends, break it off, and then just do it by hand. But this is more controllable when you get the saw through. However, I think we've gone far enough for the moment, so I'm going to just undo this and take the saw blade out. Under here where we've been cutting, of course, is a little jagged, a little bit of uneven, but that doesn't matter. The way to clean that up is to use a piece of emery cloth, and you can thread that through under there, and because of the stiff backing, it keeps the cloth quite straight, and therefore as you make this sort of movement, it will gradually bring any unevenness out. Now, at some point I will probably extend this cut a little bit further forward, but I'm not obviously going to cut it right the way through. I shall leave a small piece of horn attached to the end of the beak to give it its strength. And then obviously if you look at the back here, we need to slim quite a lot of this off underneath as well, which can also be done with this piece of emery cloth, but it will take quite a lot of work to do that. Okay, now we've got to a stage where I think the beak is what I want it to be. I've got the gap underneath here about right, and we've used emery cloth both down and upwards to ease that out and to make it correct. I haven't touched this area much at all, and that's the part that I'm going to do next. So let's just take it out of the vise first, and you'll see that I've marked it here roughly black with a black marker. And I'm going to use a gouge to come round there and follow the underline of the head. And I've got to do that both sides, of course. So let's start on that. Now I'm using here a very fine gouge to start with anyway, to sort of get a line as to where I want it to go. And I've also got another chisel here that's a very, very sort of thin one, but nonetheless a straight edge, and I sometimes find that if I start with this and then just use that along the line as well, I can get it a bit deeper that way. I'm on the other side of the horn now, because obviously I have to do the same both sides, and I think you can hopefully see now that we've got the line of the head underneath here round to this point where the head's obviously doubling back, looking back on itself, and that's why we've got this quite sharp twist just about here. And I think we've got it just about where we want it now, so we'll take it out and have a look at it. Having completed this part, I think the next thing we ought to do really is to just sand off this area around here. So we've still got some sharp edges, and just round it off and complete it to the stage where it sort of matches up with the amount of work we've done on the front. Okay, now I think that's okay. We've sanded all this area off now. We may do some work further up here later on, but the head, the part that we're working on now, is sanded off well enough. The next thing I want to do is actually put the eyes in, and the eyes, of course, are what bring the whole thing to life. So I'm going to mark them in with a pencil first of all, and these eyes are very, very definitely large and very high on the head. This bird must have incredible vision. So we've got a large eye and very near the top of the head, about like that. And I'm going to do the same the other side, and taking a bit of a guess here that I'm getting it in the right place to match the other side. And then what we do to find out whether we've got it right or not is to look at it from this direction over the top. And if I look over the top now, I can see that they are pretty well matched. This one needs to come just a tad more forwards to match the other one. And then I can rub obviously some of the pencil off this end. So if you look at it like that, you see I twist it that way on the camera, and you should be able to see whether they sort of line up. Right, so I think we have it there. And I'm going to actually make these eyes out of some twin pack glue. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just overlap a little from the feathering on the bird onto the horn where we've polished, because you can't really polish up too close to the feathering, and this way just blends one into the other. And although it may look a little bit obvious at this stage where it's gone over the end, when the varnish dries you won't hardly see it. Another thing you can do also, if you choose to varnish your horn to seal the finish in, you can wait till it's properly dry, of course, and then you can actually warble the varnish finish down and polish the varnish itself. That way you get a polished finish, possibly smoother, but you've got the protection of the varnish underneath. I think at this stage I can say the stick is finished.